Have you ever cried in front of your dog? Not just felt a little sad. Not just had a bad day. I mean truly cried. The kind of crying that comes from heartbreak, loss, stress, or a moment when everything feels too heavy to carry. If you have, then you may have noticed something strange happen. Your dog suddenly stopped what it was doing. Maybe it walked over to you. Maybe it rested its head on your lap. Maybe it stared directly into your eyes as if it knew something was wrong. But did it? That's the question. Because every year millions of dog owners experience the exact same thing. During their lowest moments, their dogs seem to react in ways that feel almost human. Some dogs cuddle closer. Some refuse to leave their owner's side. Others become unusually calm and attentive. Feels like empathy. Feels like understanding. But is your dog actually aware that you're sad? Or is it simply reacting to strange sounds and behaviors? Scientists have spent years trying to answer this mystery. And what they discovered may completely change the way you see your dog forever. Because the truth begins with a relationship that started thousands of years ago, and it may be far deeper than anyone imagined. But before we can understand what your dog thinks when you cry, we first need to understand how dogs learn to understand us at all. Dog face right arrow. For thousands of years, dogs have lived beside humans. Long before cities existed. Long before countries had borders. Long before the modern world took shape. Somewhere in the distant past, a remarkable relationship began to form between two very different species. One was a clever and ambitious primate trying to survive in a dangerous world. The other was a powerful predator roaming the wilderness. Yet somehow, against all odds, their paths became connected. At first, wolves were not companions. They were wild animals. Strong, intelligent, and cautious. But as human settlements slowly grew, some wolves began lingering near campsites. Not because they wanted friendship, but because they saw opportunity. Human camps often left behind scraps of food. For a hungry wolf, that meant survival. The wolves that were less fearful of humans had an advantage. They could stay close enough to find food without risking dangerous confrontations. Over many generations, these wolves slowly changed. Something extraordinary was happening. The friendliest wolves survived more often. Their offspring inherited similar traits. Generation after generation, natural selection favored animals that could tolerate human presence. Those wolves gradually became different from their wild ancestors. Their behavior changed. Their appearance changed. And eventually they became the first dogs. But the transformation wasn't only physical. Dogs were evolving in another way that would prove far more important. They were learning how to understand humans. Think about that for a moment. No other animal on Earth has spent as much time studying us as dogs have. For thousands of years, they watched our faces, listened to our voices, followed our movements, and learned our habits. While humans were shaping the world around them, dogs were becoming experts at reading the people they lived beside. Scientists have discovered something fascinating about this relationship. Dogs are unusually skilled at understanding human signals. In many situations, they can read our body language better than animals that are far more intelligent in other ways. A dog can often tell where you're looking. It can follow a pointing finger. It can recognize familiar words. And in many cases, it can sense changes in your mood before anyone says a single word. Your dog notices things most people never see. A tiny change in your expression. A shift in your posture. The tension in your shoulders. The speed of your breathing. Even subtle changes in your voice. These signals may seem insignificant to us, but to a dog they are valuable information. Every day your dog is collecting clues about how you feel and what you might do next. It's a skill refined over thousands of years of living alongside humans. But this creates a much bigger question. If dogs have become so good at reading us, does that mean they truly understand our emotions? When they see sadness on our faces, are they recognizing genuine emotional distress? Or are they simply responding to patterns they learned through experience? The answer may be more surprising than you think. Because when scientists decided to test this question in a controlled environment, the results revealed something nobody expected. And that's where the story becomes even more fascinating. For years, scientists wondered whether dogs truly understand human emotions or if they simply react to sounds and movements. After all, many dog owners swear their pets know exactly when something is wrong. They tell stories about dogs that suddenly become gentle when someone is crying. Dogs that refuse to leave their owner's side during difficult moments. Dogs that seem to offer comfort in ways that feel almost human. But stories aren't enough for science. Researchers wanted evidence. So they designed an experiment to answer a simple yet fascinating question. What does a dog do when it encounters a distressed human? In one study, dog owners and strangers were placed in a controlled environment with dogs present. The humans were asked to perform different behaviors. Some laughed. Some spoke normally. Others pretended to cry. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The dogs observed quietly. They watched. They listened. They gathered information about the people around them. Then the crying began. What happened next surprised the researchers. Again and again, many dogs chose to approach the person who was crying. Not the person laughing. Not the person speaking. The crying person. Even more surprising, this wasn't limited to their owners. Some dogs approached complete strangers who appeared distressed. They walked over cautiously. They made physical contact. Some nudged the person with their nose. Others sat beside them. A few even appeared visibly concerned. To scientists, this was remarkable. If dogs were only reacting to unusual sounds, they should have responded similarly to other strange noises. But that wasn't what happened. The crying seemed to trigger a different response altogether. The findings raised an incredible possibility. Maybe dogs weren't simply hearing distress. Maybe they were recognizing it. Researchers began exploring deeper questions. Were dogs responding because they felt curious? Because they expected attention? Or because they were experiencing something that resembles empathy? The answer remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in animal psychology. But the experiment revealed something important. Dogs weren't ignoring human emotions. They were paying attention to them. And the more scientists investigated, the stranger the story became. Because facial expressions and sounds are only part of the picture. What researchers discovered next suggested that your dog may know you're upset long before the first tear ever falls. Humans experience the world primarily through sight. We look at faces. We read expressions. We notice body language. But dogs experience the world very differently. Their greatest superpower isn't vision. It's smell. A dog's nose is one of the most powerful sensory tools in the animal kingdom. While we struggle to detect faint odors, dogs can identify tiny chemical changes happening inside our bodies. Changes we don't even realize are occurring. When you feel stressed, your body releases hormones. When you're afraid, your chemistry changes. When you're anxious, excited, or sad, invisible signals spread through your body and into the air around you. To humans, these changes are impossible to detect. To dogs, they're information. Scientists believe dogs can smell emotional states through subtle chemical signals produced by the human body. Long before tears appear, long before words are spoken, your dog may already know something is different. Imagine being able to smell fear. Imagine being able to smell sadness. For dogs, this may be closer to reality than we ever imagined. And if dogs can detect our emotions before we even show them, then what happens inside their brains when they do? To understand what's happening, scientists decided to look inside the canine brain. Using advanced brain imaging technology, researchers discovered something remarkable. When dogs are exposed to the scent of their favorite human, specific areas of their brains become highly active. Not just areas associated with recognition. Areas linked to positive emotions and reward. In simple terms, your presence matters to your dog. More than many people realize. When dogs hear familiar voices, see familiar faces, or smell their owners, their brains respond in ways that suggest strong social attachment. This doesn't necessarily mean dogs love exactly the way humans do. But it does suggest that relationships are deeply important to them. Your dog isn't simply waiting for food. It isn't just following routines. It has formed a connection. And when that connection appears distressed, the dog's brain notices. Scientists believe this may explain why many dogs become unusually attentive when their owners are upset. But laboratory scans only tell part of the story. Because some real-life examples are so incredible that they seem almost impossible to believe. Throughout history, countless stories have emerged about dogs showing extraordinary loyalty during moments of human suffering. Some stayed beside hospital beds for days. Others refused to leave grieving owners. There are stories of dogs sensing panic attacks before they happen and responding before their owners even realize what's wrong. In one case, a dog repeatedly comforted its owner during periods of severe anxiety, placing itself between the person and anything that appeared threatening. In another, a dog remained beside a family member throughout a long illness, rarely leaving the room. Scientists are cautious about these stories. Not every story can be verified. Not every behavior has a scientific explanation. But the sheer number of similar accounts is difficult to ignore. Again and again, dogs appear during some of the most emotional moments of human life. Moments of fear. Moments of grief. Moments of loneliness. It's almost as if they sense when they are needed most. And this raises an even bigger question. Are dogs simply reacting to our emotions? Or are they actually feeling something themselves? This is where the science becomes truly fascinating. Researchers have been studying a phenomenon known as emotional contagion. It's a process where one individual's emotional state influences another. Humans experience it all the time. When someone laughs, we often laugh too. When someone is nervous, we can become nervous. Emotions spread. The surprising discovery is that dogs may experience something similar. Several studies suggest that dogs can become stressed when their owners are stressed. They can become calmer when their owners are calm. In some situations, their physiological responses even appear to mirror those of the humans around them. Think about that. Your emotional state may influence your dog more than you realize. When you're relaxed, your dog notices. When you're anxious, your dog notices. When you're heartbroken, your dog may notice that too. This doesn't mean your dog fully understands your problems. It doesn't know why you're sad. It doesn't understand bills, relationships, careers, or loss. But it may feel the emotional change itself. And that possibility changes everything. So what does your dog think when you cry? The honest answer is that nobody knows exactly. We can't climb inside a dog's mind and hear its thoughts. But science has revealed something beautiful. Dogs pay attention to us, far more than we once believed. They watch our faces. They listen to our voices. They smell our emotions. They learn our habits. And over thousands of years, they became incredibly skilled at understanding the humans they live beside. Maybe your dog doesn't understand why you're crying. Maybe it doesn't know the story behind your sadness. But it seems to recognize that something has changed. And sometimes that's enough. Maybe that's why they come closer. Maybe that's why they stay. Maybe that's why they quietly sit beside us when we need comfort the most. Because while dogs may never fully understand the human world, they understand us better than almost any other animal on Earth. But this creates another fascinating mystery. If dogs respond to our emotions this way, then what exactly do cats think when we cry? And the answer might surprise you even more.